Do you remember what it was like to not have to teach your employees what work ethic looked like? So today we're talking about how to teach your employees work ethic. And here's why this is so important. It's crazy because we have employees that come in and it's their first job. Like they've never had a job before. No one has ever taught them to work. They haven't taught them how to do anything, really. It's kind of crazy, right? But here we are in an environment where these kids, they've gone to school, they've done their extracurricular activities, but they haven't worked a day in their life. You have to take it back a little bit. And if you're like me, you probably remember the weekends, your dad showing up at 5 o'clock in the morning to pick you up at your friend's house because he had a work project for you. Oh, he warned you the night before, but you didn't believe him. But yeah, sure enough, there he was, 5 o'clock in the morning, dragging you out to go to work. Crazy, right? Because my dad had 3 jobs, which means I had 2. He had his primary job and he had 2 part-time jobs, which means I mowed lawns, I shoveled snow, I did whatever he needed done at the other 2 jobs while he was taking care of his first job. Yeah, he paid me, but he taught me how to work, right? And then if it wasn't working one of those 2 jobs, it was moving into project from digging irrigation ditches to putting roofs on homes, digging holes, fixing people's pipes, whatever happened to break or whatever somebody needed at the time. But we were constantly busy. Logging trips, cut the firewood, burn it all winter, make us shave the wood off, shave the bark off so that we could use them as poles, right? Use them as fence posts, all that stuff. But these kids today, they didn't have any of that. So how do we teach it? How do we teach work ethic to folks who really have never experienced work? So even in high school, right? And why do I share some of these stories? Because when you share stories, they can get it. They can buy into some of it. But in high school, struggling to win wrestling matches, just struggling. And I'm like, Mom, who can I call to ask about how to do this better? How to do something different? She says, well, your Uncle Danny was world champion boxer. He won the featherweight championship of the world. Why don't you call him? So I called my Uncle Danny. And he said, David, I was the first one in the gym. I was the last one to leave, and I worked harder than anyone else while I was there. And I thought, okay, I can apply that. So I started showing up early. I started staying late. I started working as hard, if not harder than anybody else in the gym. But it's interesting because when you show up early, you know who's working out? Those guys who won state championships the year before. When you stay late, you know who's working out? Coach is there, and he's there with those gentlemen who won state championships the year before. So all of a sudden, you start to learn different things that you wouldn't have learned if you weren't there early, right? If you weren't there late, if you weren't getting that extra face time with coach. So doing the extra thing, going the extra mile is step number 1, right? We've got to teach these young kids that, number 1, you got to show up, but when you get there, you've got to do something meaningful with it. And it's interesting because I walked up on one of my employees one day, and he's working. I was in retail, and he's got one hand in his pocket like this, and he's got the other hand, and he's just slowly moving merchandise. I'm like, what are you doing? He says, oh, don't worry about it, David. That company can afford it. I'm like, what are you talking about? The company can afford it. He says, yeah. They make plenty of money. They can afford to pay me just to do the bare minimum. I'm like, no, you don't get it, right? He says, well, hold on, hear me out. He says, if you pay me more, I'll do more. Now, at this point, you, just like me, I was losing it. I'm like, there is no possible way. Do not lie to yourself. If you are capable of doing more, you would be doing more already, right? That's crazy talk. That's a crazy way to think that, oh, if you pay me more, I'll do more. No. If it's within you to do more, you're doing more already, and you will be rewarded on the backside for having shown up and doing the job better than anybody else in the first place, right? That's crazy. But sometimes if nobody points it out to them, they don't change because they don't realize it. They don't recognize it. So number 1, let's teach the benefits of hard work, that when we put that hard work in, the benefits come on the backside. They don't come on the front side. They come on the, and everything that they have to do, you don't get a harvest, right? You don't get a harvest if you don't plant. So we've got to make sure that we teach them the process. Number 2, Again, this goes back to number one and number two, kind of back to back, but doing more than what's expected, going the extra mile, adding value to the organization so that they want to pay you more. We get paid for the value that we bring. We don't get paid for just showing up. I mean, we do, but you're only going to get paid for so long before they fire you, right? But who gets compensated? Who gets promoted? Who gets moved up quickly? Those that add more value. And how can we add more value when we're in the workplace? Aside from just showing, we got to upskill. Number three, we got to upskill on our own time. We've got to go to school. What does that mean? That means either you're going to classes, you're taking courses, you hire a coach, you're reading books, you're doing whatever it takes to learn additional skills that will take you to that next level that will get you what you want. The problem is, and sit down and have the conversation about what do you really want? What is your vision for your future? Okay, so if this is the vision of your future, what skills do you have to develop in order to get you to where you want to be? And then show them how they can get there utilizing this particular job that they're in now as a stepping stone. Most people that are working for you now, they're not going to be working for you in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. Some of them maybe, but not very many, right? So our role as leaders, our job is not only to help them understand what a work ethic is, but to help them grow into their full potential in whatever it is that they're pursuing, whatever their dream is, whatever their goal is. We can teach that work ethic and we can teach the skills they need to succeed over here by helping them do it right here. Does that make sense? We get them to buy into our organization and how our organization can help them, teach them the skills that they need to take it to the next level. And I don't care if that's a McDonald's line, I don't care if that's a retail clerk, I don't care if it's a car pusher, I don't care who it is. If they are focused on their goal achievement, they're going to work harder for you than they did before. And what does it take? It takes some time. It takes some time for us to give them the background story. It takes some time for us to share with them the benefits of what a work ethic will do for them. It takes us showing them what the extra mile looks like. And it takes us teaching them how the skills they develop now will help them later. How is it that it will support their overall desire to achieve their overall vision to get what they want? Thank you so much for watching today, and we will see you again tomorrow. I always get thrown off with this whole live stream thing because it never cuts off.